Hey everyone, this is part two on Caesar's Legion, okay, in the Roman Republic, within the Roman Republic. Now, Caesar's Legion, I spoke about in the previous voice recording titled Part One of Caesar's Legion, okay? Now, in this part two, I'm going to be expanding on the topic, going more into detail on the code of conduct of Caesar's Blue Legion, okay? Now, possibly the Praetorian Guard has even more standards, but that's a question, okay? So in this video, I'm not going to be speaking on Caesar's Praetorian Guard, rather more on Caesar's Blue Legion itself. Now, like I said previously, this legion is the elite, okay? So they have to eat elite. They have to maintain discipline in diet. They have to maintain high level of moral standards. There shouldn't be any deception within the unit itself. Everything has to be very honest amongst the officers, amongst the legions. No theft, no disorder, everything in an orderly fashion. Also, a high level of hygiene standards are to be maintained as much as possible. Now, if you're a legion who's marching, yes, it's not always possible to bathe or cleanse yourself with water, okay? If you're on the march. So this isn't like likely to be a very strict standard of hygiene if you're on the march, okay, away from camp and you're just marching. However, when you're at the fort or at the camp and you have a source of water, something, you have to maintain high level of hygiene standards, okay? Bathe yourself, cleanse yourself, and take care of your uniform. Prevent any unnecessary stains. You always have to look professional. You cannot go with dirty armor. You know, you have to represent yourself really as Caesar's representatives out in the field and off the field. You cannot do anything disrespectful also on the battlefield. The highest standards are expected from the Blue Legion. Also regular cleaning of equipment, not too much yelling and screaming and shouting. Okay? Because in this legion, you have to speak politely and speak as if everyone is intelligent, not stupid. So you have to speak politely. There has to be minimal yelling, as less yelling as possible, even from officer to the legion and between legion to legion and from centurion to legion. Okay, same thing applies on the sea. Okay, and the rations of this legion also should be done carefully with planning, not live by the moment kind of thing. Okay, everything has to be well planned, well thought of before executing. Once everything is well planned and well rationed, everything, yes, then the goal is to only execute and nothing else. Okay. So yes, only the highest standards are expected from this Blue Legion. Now, when you're off the field, you know, in your fort, then you have to maintain hygiene, you know, to at least a bare minimum, okay? Like you can bathe every evening at least once, okay? Cleanse your teeth at least once, so etc. At least the bare minimum standards. Yes, when you're in the field marching, whenever it's possible, if you find a source, yes, you take advantage of it and cleanse yourself, okay? However, remember, when you have a mission or a task, hygiene shouldn't be your priority. The first thing is to accomplish the task, as in execute the task, hygiene later. So there also has to be a high level of common sense in this legion, okay? If you have a task, let's say to just take over a city, you first take over the city and then hygiene later, okay? So high level of common sense is also expected in this legion. It's not that first, okay, I have to go bathe myself and then I take over a province. No, it doesn't work that way. That's just being foolish. Now listen, this legion in civilian life is, they can just live regularly, like any other person in the province. They don't have to carry on this high level of moral standards into society, this conservatism into society. When you're away from your unit, yes, you can relax in the city, just like everyone else. However, you are expected to maintain a high level of moral conduct, as in, if you're part of Caesar's Blue Legion and you're committing crimes, if you're caught committing crimes like theft or mug someone, or you're involved in some violence on the streets, that's not tolerated. You're expected to handle things professionally, peacefully in civilian life. You cannot take over this military conservatism into civilian life. So there has to be a clear distinction between life in the legion or in the galley and a life in civilian life. You cannot bring the military life over with you to the civilian life. And you also cannot bring over the civilian life towards your military life. And even when you're in civilian life, you shouldn't behave like a barbarian or a barbari, okay? You should behave in a way that is non-violent, okay, in the province. You shouldn't go yelling and screaming at people, and all this toxic masculine behavior is completely not tolerated. You're giving a bad name to the legion, okay? So yeah. Now, this doesn't mean you have to become a saint in your province. Yes, you can go enjoy with your women. You can go and drink wine and enjoy feasting or whatever. However, just keep things non-violent. Don't go out there beating people up on the streets or, being violent unnecessarily. Only when you need to defend yourself in a life-threatening situation, become violent. You don't need to go screaming, yelling, beating people up, beating your, this isn't expected from someone who is part of Caesar's Blue Legion. Okay? So, yeah, that's all I have to say on Caesar's Blue Legion. So I hope I covered this enough now in these two parts. The Praetorian Guard standards, you have to ask the commanding officer of the Praetorian Guard itself or Caesar himself, okay? So that's all I have in this voice recording. And yes, I'll post some links in the description box below, and I'll see you in upcoming voice recordings sometime in the future somewhere, okay?